narcissistic and dysfunctional, you often get stuck in the awakening. I'm awakened to the toxicity, but I'm struggling to accept the toxicity because I'm still in the delusional mindset that family can't do this to me. The third stage, when you finally realize that your family is dysfunctional and narcissistic, I call that the rage and release stage. You become angry when you learn that this family is toxic and narcissistic. Angry with the family and also with yourself. Why did I have to go through all of this? The rage is one of the most honest emotional response to betrayal, neglect, and abandonment. It is an echo of your unmet needs and the fire behind your inner child finally saying, this wasn't fair. It's your inner child speaking. This was not fair that I went through this level of abuse. This was not fair that this family is this toxic and chaotic and they blame me for everything. Many people are afraid of their own anger because they were conditioned to believe that expressing it meant that they were being ungrateful, disrespectful, or out of control, especially in a narcissistic or an emotionally abusive family, where keeping quiet meant keeping safe. In these toxic environments, emotions were often only allowed if they made others feel comfortable. So you struggle with accepting the rage and the anger that's associated in you finding out that this is a dysfunctional narcissistic family. The fourth step is the surrender. After I've expressed my anger, after I vocalized that it wasn't me and the family's dysfunctional and toxic, I surrender to the aspect of accepting it for what it is. Surrender is one of the most sacred, heartbreaking, and empowering steps in the healing journey. You cannot change people. I surrender to the idea I can't change these people. I can't change the toxic. Trauma can resurface through everyday triggers. A trigger could be your husband has not taken out the trash. First, it was surface. I just feel that that's his one job that he has to do in the house. I'm cooking the food. He should just be able to take the trash out when I want him to take the trash. Let's go deeper. What is associated with your trigger in this trash? Her narcissistic mother would sling the trash all over the floor and tell her to pick it up for not taking it out on time. So now in real time, she struggles with having the trash taken out. She overly obsesses about the trash being taken out. This is a prime example of childhood trauma resurfacing in your adult life through a modern day trigger. And if you don't address it and connect the dots, it'll linger and cause issues in the home environment and the family dynamic between you and your husband when it's deeper than the trash and your husband. Can we talk about the physical feelings? I feel like throwing up around my mother. You're experiencing somatic symptomology. Somatic is my body is having a physical reaction to a psychological stress. We call that a somatic reaction. That's the somatic that's going on in your body due to the psychological stress. The psychological stress is the emotional, mental, and physical abuse of the narcissistic parent. A knot in your throat. All of those are reactive symptomology when trauma has been presented related to abuse. I talked about in this book about that, how to regulate your nervous system. That takes a lot of work over time. One of the best ways to regulate your nervous system is to learn your voice versus hearing the narcissistic voice. So your body will react in different ways when you're responding to this level of abuse. The psychological stress is the emotional, mental, and physical abuse of the narcissistic parent. You may get clenched jaws, clenched fists, may get overly active, overly anxious. That's your nervous system is imbalanced due to this psychological stressor. Your body is having a reactiveness to this level of trauma. Somatic conditions. They always live by you're not good enough, and they expect you to measure up to their standards. And then that's what happens with the child. The child often becomes a perfectionist, valuing the parent's identity more than their own because they lack identity. Your success is our success. This is narcissistic tactics. I'm going to make you feel guilty because your success is my success. That's how a narcissistic parent thinks. Meanwhile, they have been contributing to all of the trauma that you've experienced in getting to this point in your life. And they feel that you're embedded to them off of the sake of, you're my child, I birthed you. You wouldn't have this success without me. And that's where they weaponize you with that tactic, with that line, that infamous line. You wouldn't have any of this if I wouldn't have gave birth to you. Your success is our success. This is narcissistic tactics. I'm going to make you feel guilty because your success is my success. That's how a narcissistic parent thinks. Meanwhile, they have been contributing to all of the trauma that you've experienced in getting to this point in your life. And they feel that you're embedded to them off of the sake of, you're my child, I birthed you. You wouldn't have this success without me. And that's where they weaponize you with that tactic, with that line, that infamous line. You wouldn't have any of this if I wouldn't have gave birth to you. Narcissistic people don't know how to show up for anybody. But it leaves you lost and confused. And the truth of the matter, they probably will never be able to show up for you in the way that you need them to be. You're expecting her to show up in a healing and nurturing way, and that's something out of her norm. She never knows how to show up that way. That's never been her stance. So to help yourself with your emotional dysregulation, minimize conversation at all capacity. Stop talking. It only gets you more upset. That's it. No contact is very difficult to do in someone else's home. It is very difficult for you to do no contact in a toxic environment. You cannot do no contact effectively in the presence of the narcissistic person. You being no contact in that home is going to only entice their narcissistic behavior more. It's too much confrontation to do no contact. That's only going to entice their narcissistic behavior more. When you're dealing with a dysfunctional narcissistic family, they're never going to believe you. That's a tactic that works for their game, to make you feel insecure, to make you feel vulnerable, and to make you feel crazy with their selective remembrance. And their selective remembrance is, that didn't happen. You're making that up. Because a narcissistic parent